And welcome to another episode of our weekly Meet the Expert. And today I'm delighted to say we are with Sandi Goddard, who's a business coach. And let's get straight into it. So Sandi, how did you end up being a business coach?
Well, I'm actually more of a consultant with coaching as part of the mix. I started in marketing and branding. I actually started working at Shepherd's Studios 100 years ago in video production and PR, and moved from there into London to run an AV audiovisual department. In those days, slides were not computerized, but and we just went. I don't know. I just gained more and more experience, expertise. Ended up being a director of agency, set up my own agencies. All our clients in those days were corporates. They were travel and tourism, hotels, banks, a whole mix of clients, but massive. And then one day someone said they'd found a company in Wiltshire that needed my help. It was a commercial laundry, and I had no idea about businesses of that size or that type. And I was quite concerned that I wouldn't be able to be of any help. But I went down and saw the owner, and it opened my eyes to this huge world of owner managers and the passion they have for their businesses and their people. And it was just amazing, because my clients, the people I would report to, were board members, but they were marketing directors or sales marketing directors. They weren't owners of the firms that I worked with. And this was completely different. This was a passion that was so strong around his business that he'd set up from a tiny little company working with pubs and bars and washing stuff in his washing machine in his home, to running a massive laundry with hundreds of people and delivering to London at 5:30 every morning. It was just astonishing. I loved it, and it just turned the way I worked completely around, and I started focusing on owner managed businesses. Medium-sized, but yeah.
And so today, obviously, running a business, there's a whole wide range of skills and things we need to get our head around. But we're going to specifically focus on aligning goals.
Yes. Well, values. I think what we need to talk about is when you set up a business, it's not just your goals, but it's actually how you approach those goals, how you approach the people, your clients, what your values are, and how you align that to the work that you do. I think that's really important. And that's, I think, what I'd like to cover.
Absolutely. So see, a lot of people would say that actually that really doesn't matter. I'm paying people to come in and do a job. If they want to get paid, then they should just do it. So why am I going to spend time on values? So before we get into what we should consider, if you get this right, what is the end result? And then we can go backwards, if that's okay.
No, that's fine. The benefit of ensuring that your values and ethics are aligned with those of your clients and your staff is a strong, successful business, because you are motivating your people because they trust and believe you, and you're all on the same hymn book. You're all singing from the same song sheet. That means you're taking them with you, and they are behind you, and they're doing a great job because you're leading them. And the other side of it is customers. You want to grow. Your customers need to believe in you. And if you have a strong ethos, a strong set of values, then your clients are going to trust you and come back to you. It's not all about money, whether it's clients or staff. It's not all about money. Of course, cost is important and how much you get paid is important, but you will lose good people if you don't live up to the set of values they believe are in the company.
Absolutely, and I'm going to declare being a bit of a raving fan on this subject from my own experiences of running businesses. And absolutely, what we're going to discuss is possibly one of the most important parts of business in its entirety, in my opinion, because your people and who you're working with and who you're serving are the number one priority. Because without them and without your clients, with respect, you don't have anything. So where do you start?
Well, let's the way I start. So I have clients over the past few years who've been across all sectors, whether I don't specialize in a sector. So if I look at a manufacturing client a couple of years ago who was they have to respond, a lot of companies have to fill in procurement reports or procurement questionnaires. There's a huge organization called EcoVadis that is used by many of the big organizations to ensure that the companies that are in their supply chain are compliant, well governed, sustainable. And one of those areas that they look at is how you treat your people and what the values and ethics are. And you have to show proof. You have to actually upload a range of documents that support what you're saying. So there's one example of why having values aligned with your people is important, because your big customers want to know that that's part of your ethos. And investors in people, prior to getting your investors in people certification, accreditation, it's a good idea to do these exercises, because they prepare you for doing investors in people, which is expensive and time consuming, but extremely valuable when you're putting yourself forward for a decent piece of work. So there's a couple of good reasons for doing it. And I produce questionnaires. I work with my clients on questionnaires, and we go bottom up. We don't tell the people employed by the company what their values are. We ask them, we say, here's a list of questions that will help us to understand what your values are and ensure that we are aligned with your values, that we are all working together on the same thing and in the same way. And this can be difficult, because if you're working, say, with a manufacturing company, not everyone is comfortable filling in forms. So you have different ways of doing it. Some people might like to use paper, others might prefer doing it online, and there might be another group who prefer to be interviewed through the questions. And we anonymize it, because then you're more likely to get the truth. And from that, we can then tabulate what the answers are and identify what the key values are. And in most cases, it's trust and respect. And then there are a few other things. It is common sense. I don't think there's much out there that's new or different. Most of what humans do is based on past practice, what works really well, best practice, I suppose, what works really well in an organization.
So I've seen this done remarkably well in businesses, and I've also seen it done, in my opinion, rather strangely. I'll just talk about the strangely ones. It is when it's decided, I'm going to say up above in the higher branches of the business, that actually what we should do is have some values, and the values come out from the boardroom.
Yes.
And then an email goes around saying, good news, this is our vision, this is our mission, and these are going to be our values. We think this is going to make this workplace much better. And I see that quite a lot. Do you see that or hear about that?
Oh, yes. And top down doesn't work. I mean, I've worked with loads of companies over the last 20 or 30 years, and you find the messages that the senior execs or the board are putting out are totally misaligned, because you talk to there'll be all sorts of reasons why I will have interviewed staff and board members over the years, and it'll be all around branding and reputation, and you start to discover that there's complete mismatch between what your team say and what your board say, and that's because the messages have come from the top down. It doesn't work. You need to find out what your people think about the company. You need to find out what their values are, what they really, really believe in and think are most important. And then you'll be aligned, because they'll be similar to what you want anyway. But it's far better to have them behind you than try and push them to do something that they don't feel comfortable with or don't agree with.
Yeah. So I'm afraid, Sandy, I'm going to be devil's advocate here. So I'm going to flip this round to the other way, and I have to say I absolutely agree with you. You need to get feedback and get the team involved in how that looks. But if we've got so the first time I came across this is when one of the business was growing, and we just hit about 22, 23 members of the team. And what happened was we started getting that whispering behind people's backs and gossip, which is very, very dangerous for any business. And so we actually got a consultant in, and and this is many years ago, my first experience of introducing this. But if you've got that scenario, do you not get how do you get people to be honest, or how do you generate a space where the team or the employees feel actually it's okay for me to say, actually, this is what I think about the business, this is what I think about my environment, this is what I think we should stand on, if they truly believe that's a mile away from where it is, and there could be consequences, or potentially what they believe the hierarchy want from them?
It has to be anonymized. You cannot put people's names on their responses, because it's not fair. If you want them to be honest, you have to, and allow them to say exactly what they think, you have to promise that will be anonymous, and then you'll get an honest response. People in the company, one person refused because they didn't believe it would make any difference. So you won't get complete buy-in.
No. So let's say we and I've seen it successfully happen, not just in our own business, but other businesses. We get that open transparency and conversation going. I'm guessing, in actual fact, getting I'm going to say a third party in like yourself actually helps that journey, rather than the line managers saying, "Fill the survey in."
You can't do internally. It has to be an external. It has to be someone who's seen, even if we are brought in and they think, oh, well, she's, the bosses have brought her in, or him in, the boss have brought this organization in. It's a case of saying, look, we have no axe to grind here. We just want to understand what you think, how you feel, so that we can move things forward and they can be a much positive environment. It's rare that it's not I've hardly ever found a situation where the bosses and the teams aren't aligned. It has happened occasionally, but in the main, they do believe the same things. What you're trying to do is be absolutely sure that what you're saying is the same as what your team believe. And usually it is. You just need to get it formalized so that everyone can see. And also, it's a great way of, it's a great story. It's a great story for marketing and PR. It's great for induction and retention. When you're inducting someone, you can say, look, these are our values. This is what everyone believes. I've also had instances where clients have told me that if a manager hasn't followed through with the values, then some of the team have come back and said, that doesn't align with our values. We're not going to do that. That's wrong. I think that is actually great for a company. So.
Absolutely. Because it's making everyone, I'm going to say, accountable, but it takes away the layers of, I'm going to say, authority or position, doesn't it? If this is the overall company, which everyone at that moment agreed to. Yes,
everyone's bought in. Absolutely. Yeah.
So going, sorry to interrupt, but going back to that person who said they don't believe that it will make any difference. So we've gone through the process, and we can talk about what a vision and mission is a bit later. We've got buy-in, and that's done. So we've all agreed something. And I know you've just said there where you have team members who say, well, actually, that doesn't align. But actually, how does a business irrespective of its size, if it's 2 or 3 people or 10,000. How do you make sure that actually it's not put in that bottom drawer, which, with respect, a lot of businesses do once they've gone through the process? And how do you bring that up to part of your daily, weekly working environment?
Well, different companies have different processes. A manufacturing company that I worked with has the vision and mission statements and values as posters throughout the company in different places, including in reception. So they're a reminder. And as I say, they have regular meetings as well and regular appraisals. So, and all of that is important. If you're going to have quarterly appraisals with your teams, then these things will be kept in mind and brought up. But even the biggest companies fail. I had at the beginning of last year, I was coaching an executive who worked so she was mid-level executive in a huge international organization, and her first comment was, "This company is toxic and I need to get out." And she asked me to coach her to find a different job. In fact, she wanted a higher role as well. But it was clear that despite what the company says about its values and its behaviors and its approach and protection of its staff, it wasn't following through. And there was a distinct bullying environment within the organization. And that's really difficult because it isn't just bottom up when it comes to values. It has to be top down when it comes to ensuring those values and those processes are working. That is hard.
And a toxic environment, which does exist in businesses, I'm sure we've all seen it or experienced it, actually costs a business an enormous amount, not only money, but expertise.
Yep. There's in all sorts of ways, particularly when you come to huge corporations where the partners are paid large sums of money. They are also expected to work really hard. So they've got the stress at work of delivering to meet those rewards. And then there's probably stress at home because of the time they're taking to work, because they're out of the home, they're leaving a lot of the familial responsibilities on the shoulders of one other, possibly. And so you're getting pressure from both sides, and that's really difficult. And what you will get is burnout. You'll get anxiety, a lot of stress involved. And the better companies will then support those people with coaching, particularly psychological coaching services. But it shouldn't be there. You shouldn't need to. If you actually follow through on what you say is the values within the company, other values within the company, then that shouldn't be happening, should it?
Absolutely. Okay, so to summarize, ultimately, what this does is it unifies, irrespective of who you are within a business, the clear goal and what is and what isn't acceptable and how we should work together, and that is built by the team, and it has to be bought in from top level, irrespective of who you are and how long you've been with the company.
It's really a marriage.
Okay.
And understanding it's not just it. The trouble is we're all unique, we're all different, and therefore it is the job of, well, in most companies in this country we don't necessarily have an HR team, but we have external HR, and it is the responsibility of the management aligned with their HR to ensure that your people are happy and are positive in their attitude to their work, and all of that comes from aligning values and understanding what their values are and what they expect.
Okay.
I'm going to give you an example from yesterday, because I mentioned that I'd been out to a meal yesterday, and we went to a restaurant none of us had ever been to before for this business lunch, and it was a Gordon Ramsay. And I was really impressed with the service. The waiting staff were brilliant. One of the guests had to leave early because he had a plane to catch, and they ensured that he, as soon as he finished his starter, he had his main delivered straight away. So they didn't wait, as in some restaurants they will do, for everyone to finish their starter. There was a whole range of different things. They were really, really supportive in the how we paid our bill. It was just a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. Every one of us said, "What a brilliant place! We must come back." The food was delicious. The food was absolutely wonderful. The set menu was reasonable. Everything you would want from a good restaurant. So I looked up Gordon Ramsay's values, knowing we were having this meeting, and absolutely aligned with everything he says about hard work and positivity, trust and respect. It was just all there. It was brilliant. And I thought, yes, because I think he gets bad press sometimes. So, yeah, it's the first time I've ever been to a Gordon Ramsay as well. So I will be going back.
Well, I think there you go. I mean, they say that someone's complaint will be told to 10 people, or someone is unhappy. But however, when you get it right, you know, you get referrals like you've just given, Sandi.
Mm.
So let's move on to what is a vision in its raw. What's the point of a vision statement? I call it a vision statement, but I know different companies call it different things.
Well, if we look at all the businesses in this country, 95% of them are owner managed. They've been set up by someone who had a vision. Like my commercial laundry owner, his vision was to have his own laundry one day. And he had a particular idea of how laundries should deliver to fine dining, which was his field. And he just was completely focused on that. And the mission is how you deliver on that vision. So you have a vision, which is the objective of the company, how you're going to get there, what your values are around that. And then the mission is how you actually achieve that. And I think sometimes people don't think carefully enough about their visions, mission statements. And again, it comes back to ensuring that everyone buys into it.
Yes, and it does take a lot of thought, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I've been told that a vision is a statement which should be something you're always trying to achieve, rather than something which can be achieved. Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that. I'm just thinking about client I'm currently working with, and the vision there is global. I won't go into what the company is at the moment, but and holistic, and it will take a long time to achieve. And the mission, of course, is to deliver to a certain niche first, and then work up until it's global.
Yeah, so it's something. The vision is something you're striving to achieve, and to if you get there, which obviously is the idea, then it's something which actually every part of the business needs to constantly strive to keeping it there, which is another thing in itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I think with most of my clients, once they get there, they probably want to sell their business. So, yeah, I work with clients who are usually around about 4 years to 11 years in age. They've sort of been established a number of years, and they're usually financially sound. And their aim is inevitably to look at exit at some stage in the future. So they've often got all of these things in place. They just haven't formalized them. And that's really where I get involved, starting to talk to the staff, do the research, ensure that they are going in the direction they hope to be going in.
But I'm assuming you would agree with me. It doesn't matter what size operation you are. If you are a team of 2 or a team of 10,000, this is something which should be discussed and
Yes,
implemented.
I absolutely agree with you. Because if you can do this at startup, which is really where it should be, you should be looking at all of this when you start up your business, your values, your vision and mission. Most people have a pretty good idea of what their vision is. So just putting that into a process so that it's always there, it's always part of what you're doing when you're in recruiting, when you're doing appraisals. It should all be part of your business processes. And I know it takes time, but in the end, it's worth it, because you're going to have less problems human problems going forward if you have these aligned. Your values, your vision, your mission, your ethics effectively are in place.
And from my own, I mean, we've got to think, what is the reason for doing it? And in today's world, ultimately it comes down to, is there a business reason to do this? You will probably find you will attract the sort of businesses you want to be dealing with by shouting out you have a vision and mission and a belief system like you've discussed, I would assume.
Yes, I think if you are authentic and speak honestly about how you believe a business should behave, you are going to attract like-minded clients and like-minded employees. So over the last 10 years, what we've found is honesty and approach to sustainability, transparency. All of these are really important to customers today, particularly in the B2C market. If you want to attract customers, they want to know what your values are. They want to know whether it's an ethical business, how you deal with your staff, where you buy your products from, how you manufacture products, what's in your products, how true are you to your mission statement in terms of the way you deliver services. So it's part of business growth and business success. I think it's even more important today because we have we're going into an uncertain economic climate. There's a high probability that there'll be less recruitment. Therefore, employees will be expected probably to work harder. And you want motivated staff. In those circumstances, you do want your best staff to stay with you and to be motivated and to respond to these challenges. You don't really want a 9-to-5er in many cases. And that's hard. That's really hard, because why would I want to give more than my 9-to-5 if you're not giving back in some way? That's why I think understanding the values of your team and your customers, it's incredibly important, because it means you're going to deliver a better service, a better product. And you are going to, we all want to be market leaders, or at least grow our businesses. And in order to do that, we have to have our people behind us.
Yes. And you're absolutely right. In times of, I'm going to call it hardship or challenges, this really does help strengthen the team.
Absolutely. You couldn't have put it better.
So, Sandi, to summarize, getting alignment in a business isn't just a nicety. It has fundamental benefits. So your team or your employees are likely to work better together, because it will break down potential walls and challenges, because it will encourage open conversation. By default, that means that people will probably stay with you longer, which then reduces the cost of recruitment, training, and disruption to the business. It will bring consistency and improved service to your clients, which means you retain your clients longer and you're likely to increase referrals, recommendations. It's likely to increase the value of your business, not just because what it stands for, but actually your business would be achieving more and be more efficient. And in times of challenges specifically, if that challenge is you've got a big contract and everyone's having to put absolutely everything into it to get it over the line, or if it's commercial or economy challenges, because you have a team which is closer together, you will get through those easier than you would do if you had a toxic environment.
Yes, I think there are a lot of companies out there who say, oh, we're a family. No, a business, it would be very nice if a business was a family, but a business isn't a family. It is a commercial operation, but we have responsibilities to each other within that. And obviously we want to build those relationships so that it's like a family. And the only way to do that is to develop trust and honesty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's been absolutely brilliant. Now it's time for that shameless shout out. So I'm Andrew from the Academy World. If you don't know already, then what the Academy World does is we specialize in supporting businesses either start up or expand or overcome commercial challenges. We do that either by helping you ourselves or linking you up with experts like Sandi, depending on what your requirements are. So Sandi, just do your shameless plug.
So Goddard Delaney, we are business consultants and coaches. We work very closely with the owners of businesses to ensure that they are growing successfully. And sometimes, although they don't tell me necessarily, they might be thinking of exit. And I have many clients who have gone off into the sunset for those myriad of cruises or whatever it is they plan to do with their hard-earned money. And I'd love to work with more of you. Thank you.
So all contact details will be available on whatever platform you are watching or listening to this. Meanwhile, thank you very much for listening. Sandi, thank you very much for being my guest today. And meanwhile, we will have another expert next week, and we will see you then. Have a brilliant week, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.